Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to talk about news of new League Battle decks, which are coming around. These aren't announced yet, but like we have so many times before, we've seen distributor listings, and this is one of those situations. Sometimes we're fumbling around a little bit in the dark. I was giving you updates over the past few days about those Pokemon Go products, which are going to be coming around in the summer, and we had the premium collection that was listed, and that was officially listed. We were given a list of products from Pokemon themselves. And the problem is, when we saw the premium collection, I was like, oh, well, that's probably like the one from Shining Fates, because that was the most recent kind of premium collection that we'd been given. That makes sense. You know, things like the Dragapult one that came with the V and the V Max and the Jumbo and all of that. But then we actually got the description of the product, and it turns out that it is in fact looking far more like the Marnie Premium Collection that came around in Champion's Path, because it comes with a pin and a playmat, etc., which we didn't know when these products were initially revealed. Well, the good news is there seems to be no such issue here, because we have word of new League Battle decks, which are coming around on June the 17th. There are two different ones coming, and they are described as Calyrex League Battle decks. Well, Calyrex VMAX League Battle decks. And quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that if there's two of them, and they're Calyrex VMAX, then they're going to be the Ice Rider and Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAXs that came around in Chilling Reign. And this is really, really good. This is wonderful, wonderful news. Now, I've told you that VMAXs are essentially done, although Pokemon do seem to stubbornly keep releasing them. I mean, we're even getting a Heatran and presumably one other, not confirmed but as good as, which are coming in the upcoming set over in Japan, or the upcoming double set in Japan. So VMAX are still kind of hanging around, but if nothing else, they have very much taken a backseat to V-Star. The chances of getting a new Ice Rider and Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX at this stage are essentially zero. Getting them in time for these League Battle decks to release on June the 17th is basically zero, and we know by now that these League Battle decks are made from good decks. The wonderful team over at TPCI, they take good decks and transcribe them into League Battle decks, and these are both Pokemon that have done very well and seen a lot of success. And frankly, what they're doing here, and I think they're doing this really well, and I'm all in favour of it, is they are basically going, hey, remember how last time we did the League Battle decks with the Single Strike and Rapid Strike Urshifu? Yeah, let's do that, but with Calyrex. And I think that's a wonderful, wonderful idea, because they clearly like releasing these in pairs. Now, I know it's not always the case. The Inteleon one did launch on its own, but generally speaking, these kind of products go very nicely in pairs. When you're releasing products in pairs, what you really want to do is have them themed a little bit so that they do make a proper pair rather than two random decks that just happen to have been released at the same time. So you mash all of that together, you end up with the two Calyrex League Battle decks. And it must be borne in mind that these League Battle decks are generally really, 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 really good. Now, as always, right, when we're talking about this and I say how great they are, you've got to bear in mind that there is always a limit. There are only so many good cards they can put into a deck. There's only so many expensive cards they can put into a deck. There is a limit as to what the team over at the Pokemon Company can actually do with these League Battle decks. They are not just going to take a winning list and put it into a League Battle deck. That's, for various reasons, not realistic. But if we remind ourselves about the Urshifu ones just for a moment, these were really, really good. You know, the Rapid Strike Urshifu came with a 2-2 line of the VMAX, but it also came with a 2-2 line of Chinchino, which is very important for the deck, and a 3-3 line of Octillery, which is really good for the deck. So they gave you some really good Pokemon there, which work absolutely beautifully in this deck, the kind of Pokemon you would expect to be coming around in this deck. And then if we look at the trainer line, it's absolutely full of staples. There were 2 copies of Boss's Orders, there were 4 copies of Quick Ball, There were 3 copies of Professor's Research. These are all absolute staple cards that you see in like every deck. There were 3 copies of Marnie, which is pretty important. And then we saw, 4 Rapid Strike Energy, because you're going to need Rapid Strike Energy to play the deck, so that found its way in here as well. And that's just a tiny little overview, right? I'm not going through every card, that's not the point of this video. The Single Strike deck came with a 4-3 line of Houndoom, and if you're playing Single Strike decks, you need Houndoom. There were a couple copies of the Oranguru, which sees a whole bunch of play for switching the top card of your deck with 1 card in your hand, and a couple copies of that Stonejourner, which sees a huge amount of play in single strike decks. And then again, when we look at the trainer line, there's Marnie, there's Professor's Research, there's Quick Ball. And then we've got things like Tower of Darkness and Urn of Vitality and Single Strike Energy, which we need in these kind of decks. They were really, really good. These are the decks which are full of staples. And it's not an exaggeration to say that what you can essentially do here is take these League Battle decks, make a few changes, buy a few singles, etc., and have yourself a legitimate tournament level deck, which is what we're looking for. And now we're doing that again, and we're doing it with Calyrex. And I could not be more in favour of this. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hang on a second, Wassy. Nowadays, if you look at recent tournament results, surely it would be better to do a Mew deck, for argument's sake. Or it would be better to do an Arceus deck. And my answer to those is basically, firstly, they're too new. Bearing in mind these products are made a little while in advance. It takes time to put this stuff together. Those decks are too new. And secondly, especially with a Mew Genesect, could you really make a League Battle deck with that? Would you not need too many, you really need kind of a 4-3 Mew line and 4 Genesect. It's asking a bit too much. I wouldn't expect that one to come as a League Battle deck, because it really is a completely Pokemon V deck. On VMAX, V-Star line, it's asking a lot to try and squeeze that into these kind of League Battle decks. Like I showed you with the Urshifu, you got a 2-2 line of the Urshifu VMAX. That's reasonable for a product like this. So that's why we're not getting those other kind of decks. And I know the timing for this doesn't seem ideal. The lovely folks over at PokeStats, and I've told you this a million times, I'm gonna keep telling you, if you are following the Pokemon TCG competitively, if you want to know what's winning, you need to be following that Twitter handle. They are amazing. But they put this graphic together for the top 16 over at Salt Lake City Regionals this past weekend, and you will notice that both Ice Rider and Shadow Rider Calyrex are conspicuous by their absence. There's not even any in the top 32. They weren't decks that did brilliantly well, but they are decks that have done well in the past, and they are decks that have a huge amount of potential. They work very nicely. I worry that they're not going to be quite as impactful as the Urshifu, because the Urshifu decks managed to drop when they were both still absolute top decks in the meta. Even, the Single Strike Urshifu right now, you kind of need to take Urshifu out and go and whack Gengar in. But if you do that, you've actually still got a top-tier deck that did very well at Salt Lake City this weekend. Though, again, you are swapping out Single Strike Urshifu for Single Strike Gengar. I'm not sure the Urshifu are going to lead quite like the Urshifu ones did, but I do think they are excellent, excellent choices. For those that may have forgotten, Shadow Rider Calyrex has got the amazing Underworld Door ability. Lets you attach a Psychic Energy to one of your bent Psychic Pokemon and draw 2 cards. Still one of the most broken abilities we've got, and the deck just doesn't work well enough at the moment. Doesn't make the ability any less stunning. And then for a minimum 3 energy, 10 damage plus 30 more free Psychic attached to all of your Pokemon. It was an amazing deck, it's dropped off a bit, but the potential is very clearly there. Ice Rider Calyrex started off slower and less good, really has been accelerating since, and had seen a lot of good tournament results. The best thing about it really is Max Lance, 2 water energy, 10 damage, but you can discard up to 2 energy and do 120 more for each one discarded, or to put it simply, 2 energy, 250 damage. That is absolutely nuts. It is a very good deck, and certainly when we were doing those Players' Cups, the online tournament I was lucky enough to get to cast some of, we saw those decks were very much all over those tournaments. They're going to be legal for a while. They absolutely could come back. So I like the choice of this pair here. I like that they make a pair. Now, the lovely Primal Lugia over at Poker Guardian, who did get this information for us, has mentioned that you get one of two decks, including free promo cards. I don't know what they mean by the free promo cards. I don't think they mean the V and V Max, because remember the Urshifu ones had a 2-2 line. 2 of the Vs, 2 of the V Maxes. And anyway, they're not promo cards. These are cards from Chilling Reign. So I've not really gone into much discussion about what these promo cards are, because frankly, I don't know. We're not used to getting promo cards in the League Battle decks. Are they going to be actual Black Star promos? And remember, if they are, that means that people who collect Black Star promos, I know there are a bunch of people out there, they're going to need to go and pick this product up so that they can actually continue their Black Star collection. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. These look fun, these look good, and I've said this many times before. If you know somebody who wants to get into playing the Pokemon TCG competitively, what you should really do is go and buy the Trainer's Toolkit and go and buy both of these VMAX decks, League Battle decks, and just go from there. It is an amazing way to get into competitive Pokemon very cheaply. And yes, you'll have to buy a few singles, but compared to other TCGs out there, the combination of League Battle decks and Trainer's Toolkit, they are good, ladies and gentlemen. They are good. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.